On Championship Matters tonight, the call for ideas is out. And tonight, our panel and you, the viewers, have your say with suggestions for the Football Review Committee. Donegal's Marc McGee and Paddy McBrearty face off in the ultimate test of GA knowledge. And we look forward to the lads' big game against Cork on Sunday. That's all in the company of the chairman of the FRC, Eugene McGee, the sports editor of the Irish Examiner, Tony Lean, and a man who rarely has his feet up in August.
What a point by Marc O'Shea. That is a beauty.
Yes, a warm welcome to Marc, Eugene, Tony, and of course to you at home as well. Now, the Football Review Committee, chaired by Eugene, was launched recently with an appeal to the grassroots GA members to come forward with suggestions and ideas that would improve the game. Thousands of people have been in touch with the committee and also with ourselves on Championship Matters. And there are loads of good ideas out there.
My name is Fintan O'Reilly from County Wexford. I'd like the Football Review Committee to look at the interpretation of the tackle. I think a lot of players don't actually know what the tackle is. Currently, the tackle as defined is really down to the interpretation of referees. The consistency of the referees is not always the same, which can lead to a lot of frustration. What I would like to see is a tackle perhaps along the lines of what was defined in the compromise rules.
My name's Dara Bourne and I come from Donegal, and I would like the Football Review Committee to look at introducing a Champions League style format. I think under the present system, the weaker teams don't get enough games. And if it was a Champions League style format, every team would get a minimum of 3 games every year. Plus, I think it's harder for teams from Ulster and Leinster to get as far as the quarter-finals as it is for teams from Connacht and, say, Munster. So I think an open draw and a Champions League style format would be a fairer system.
I'm Missy Connor from County Down, and I would like the Football Review Committee to look at substitutions made after the 70th minute of the game. Personally, I feel the 70th minute is when substitutions should be stopped, because it's the most tense part of the game and it can be very frustrating for the losing side, because it's very seldom that substitutions are made for the good of the game. It's just a time waster, and it's a fast-flowing game, and it should be kept that way.
Aaron Brennan is my name, from County Westmeath. I'd like to see the Football Review Committee address the overuse of the hand pass, and I'd like to see the foot put back in football. The hand pass is a kind of overtaking the game, and in many ways it's a kind of playing a huge part in the defensive systems that have kind of seeped into the GAA. Although it is effective, it does slow down the game, and as a spectator and someone who plays the game, I feel that the hand pass should be regulated. Anything beyond 3 or 4 passes should be enough.
My name's Sean O'Reilly. I'm from Clondalkin in Dublin. If there's one thing I could change in the FRC is that the teams be reduced to 13 players a side. The reason behind this is that the current game is a lot faster than it was back in the 70s and the early 60s, and it would create a lot more space in the pitch, would make the game more exciting. At the minute it's too bunched up because of the number of players in the pitch and their fitness levels.
Yes, indeed, some great ideas there. Eugene, you've been up and running for some time now. How many suggestions, ideas have you received so far?
Well, we got nearly 2,000 responses to a questionnaire when we launched the website, www.frc.ie, and they had the option on the questionnaire of putting in their personal observations as well. And I'd say 1,500 of them sent in observations. So I mean, I started to print them out one night, and then I suddenly realised that this could go on for a week. So we gradually read them. We all have to read. We're all obliged in the committee to read everything we get in. But I mean, like for instance, there were pages and pages and pages with the word Champions League on them. You know, they're coded in alphabetical order, and it went on and on and on. Champions League, you know, non-stop. But all the other things were in as well. There were an incredible number of options, especially when it came to the championship and changing the championship. The number of options people had, the amount of thought put into them. I mean, there were some people wrote 8 and 10 foolscap typed pages
Really?
Outlining in great detail how to change the championship. And they must have spent months, if not years, at it. And it was wonderful to see that, because you see, the whole idea of this committee, this Football Review Committee by Liam O'Neill, was he wanted the common man's view of football. He just wanted to get a kind of a white paper on Gaelic football. What do the people around Ireland who play football, watch it and coach it and so on, what do they actually think about Gaelic football? Because there has never been a vehicle for the public to do that. All the opinions about Gaelic football that we have seen in recent years are from a manager, from a county board chairman, from a top player or something like that. And they're the elite of the game, and the best of luck to them, and they're very important. But they're only less than 2%. And we are very conscious in all our deliberations here about the club matches, 98%, and everything is geared about that. So we had 3 ways of doing it. We had the questionnaire, then we consult with the stakeholders. We're going to talk to players, managers, coaches, referees, all the categories of the GAA. We've talked to a lot of them, and we'll talk to them all. And at the end, finally, we're going around the country to every county in Ireland, and we're talking to people face to face in small groups and asking them what they think of the survey. And then at the end of it all, it's our job to put it all in the mix and try and put together common sense into it. That mightn't be easy, but we'll have a go.
Okay. Marc O'Shea, let's divide these suggestions into 2 parts, playing rules and perhaps changing the competition structure. Let's deal with playing rules first. If there's one rule you'd like to see changed, what would that be?
Yeah, where do I start, Marty? I suppose there's a lot of rules, to be honest, that you'd like to look. First of all, I think the game it's a great game at the way it's played at the moment. Let me say that first. But there's little things, Marty, that would kind of bug you. You know, there's I think the tackle. You know, there's no definition on the tackle. Different referees have different interpretations on the tackle. I think that's a big thing. What works with one referee mightn't work with another referee. The second thing that I've another beef with, I suppose, is the third man tackle. You know, I think we're all at it at this stage. Kerry are at it. Every county is at it. I think some counties have brought it to another level altogether. You know, but it's you give a pass, you go for the return, and there's someone in your way. You know, and what do you do then, Marty? Do you take the law into your own hands, and you know, if you do, you've got a yellow card straight away, and if you get a belt, you're not in the play. So it's a hard one.
Tony, you're an astute observer of the game, so is there anything in particular that you would like to see changed?
I was talking to Eugene earlier, and one thing that encouraged me straight away was Eugene was talking about the age demographic, that, you know, so many people that were making suggestions were under 40. I think that's a good thing in the first instance. I would say there's a couple of things. I mean, we shouldn't, Marty, be looking to throw the baby out with the bathwater here either. You know, the game, as Marc says, is still fundamentally sound. You know, if there's a couple of things, the sin bin. You know, I think the sin bin was done away with great and undue haste a couple of years ago. Let's face it was done away with because of vested interest from inter-county managers. I thought, in terms of actually, you know, managing the discipline of a game, it was worth a lot longer than it got. What did it get? 1 National League? No, I don't even think it got the National League. It got the pre-season tournaments maybe at that stage.
Well, Tony, the sin bin, the time clock and the advantage rule are 3 of the biggest things in the popular demand. Yeah. They're the things of the top 5. They're in the top 5 of the things that the ban in the street wants to do.
And talking just about how, you know, we talk about how fundamentally sound the game is. I would say some of the lost arts that are there. I'm talking about the midfielder who can soar to the clouds. No reward. In actual fact, you're punished for it. If you go up to the clouds now, you're met by 5 or 6 fellas when you come down. And secondly, it is called football. And we don't reward people who can actually kick the ball 60, 70 yards with great accuracy anymore. You know, whether that now is by mark or whatever means, I would just say, like, I would love to see the arts of the game rewarded so that they're not lost. One inter-county manager said to me, and it stuck in my head, Marty, after last year, he says, when I'm looking for an inter-county player now, I'm looking for physique, power, strength, and then football ability. Number 4.
Really?
And that's how much the game has changed. And it is still called football, so that can't be a great thing.
There was a question on the questionnaire, what are the things that you most like about Gaelic football, whether you're a player, spectator, and the top 2 are high catching, then the next one was good accurate kicking, and the third one was scoring points from play.
Interesting. Well, we've got loads of tweets in the last few days into RTE Champ Matters with suggestions on the issue. Just to give you a flavour of them. Shane Rowan, for instance, writes, introduce the mark from all clean catches from kickouts that are caught past the 45-yard line. Pori Gill thinks a proper advantage rule whereby play is brought back for a free or penalty if no advantage has been gained. Jason Ryan thinks all deliberate fouls like jersey pulling, high tackles, push in the back be punished by adding 13 metres to the free, cut out negative play. And a different point of view entirely from Jonathan McManus. Stop making so many changes. Our game is one of the best in the world. Just leave it alone. Eugene McGee, that's probably, that last point is worth considering, because if it's not broken, then we really shouldn't be going at it.
Yeah, over 2/3 of the people in the questionnaire said that Gaelic football is either good or very good. So we all know that. I mean, the president himself made that clear. He was misinterpreted, I think, when he launched this thing about something about some type of, I don't know what, something negative about football, but basically everybody knows that. We wouldn't be having, there's 1 million people that clocked by today, I think, in Croke Park, have attended football and early matches this year, and let's say they're 600 or 700,000 are from football, and they're not fools and they're paying good money. So football isn't in a dire strait. But that's not enough. In modern society, we need to improve all the time, and if Gaelic football can be made an even better game, then the whole idea is let's go and do it.
One tweeter there, actually, Marty, made a good point, which I remember watching a game during the summer and I was infuriated. In terms of the advantage rule, you have a player, Mark, going through, clean through on goal, one-on-one with the keeper, and he's hauled back and pulled down by a defender, stopping a certain attempt or goal. The maximum penalty at the moment, yellow card.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of that, even that element of discipline, in terms of actually rewarding a guy who wants to get through in on goal, the punishment at the moment doesn't fit the crime for the defender. Let's
move on to the competition structures. Mark, would you like to see a change to the competition structures?
I think so. I think we'd all like to see a change, Marty. For example, if you take Cork this year now, who won the Munster Championship, they had no game for 5 weeks after that. You know, they play Kildare in a quarter-final. I think, you know, if you win a provincial championship, you should be rewarded for that. Cork, you know, they had no game for 5 weeks. Not even that, Marty, but they don't know who they're playing the week until the week before the game. Why not bring out the draw maybe a few weeks before that, you know, so they'll have a fair idea who they're playing. Also, maybe, you know, bring in some system where the provincial champions have home venue for a quarter-final. You know, I think definitely you can look into that.
Are these some of the thoughts that are coming across?
I'd say if they were all totted up, I'd say there'd be certainly probably 500 different options. Now, a lot of them are variations on a team, you know, the Champions League thing, and look, they're numerous ones. The amount of thought put into these things is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, there's a large body of opinion that says, why can't the GA have 4 provinces of 8? Because the reverberations there would be colossal, and most importantly, we're very concerned with the 98% who never play county football and are dedicated club players. And I think it is 60% of, roughly 60% in a survey asked what is the standard of club presentation in your county. It is 60% said poor. Now, or something like that. That's a shocking statistic, because these are the rank and file people who play. If the championship could be played in a more condensed manner, then the clubs would be, the county boards would be released for more fixtures. And it doesn't matter how many fixtures committees you have in the Croke Park. And yesterday we happened to run into one of them when we were at our own meeting. They were having a fixtures meeting. But I mean, the problem is they're starting to plan next year's fixtures now. But I mean, they're stuck with the same idea that I think it is 6 or 7 weeks from Longford played the first round of their championship till Mayo played the first round of their championship. Yeah. And these kind of anomalies, you know, are ridiculous. Another very important thing that we have to factor in here is the disparity between the counties is inevitable, it's geographical. Yeah. But the disparity in the financial resources of the counties, that's not inevitable. And that has grown widely in the last 10 years, absolutely widely. You can't expect County Longford to produce £1 million to train a team.
Mark, as a current intercounty footballer, are you disappointed that there is no current player on Eugene's committee on the FRC?
Yeah, I think maybe a few current players should be on the committee, maybe 2 hurling, 2 football, definitely. You know, I think the players playing the game, they have a lot of frustration at the moment with the way some things are going. But look, as I said before, Marty, I think in general the game is very good. But look, there are a few negatives that, you know, when you train so hard all year long, I do think the year is very long. You know, you're going from January to if you get to an All-Ireland, you're going to January to September. I'd like to maybe see a more condensed championship.
That's a big complaint, by the way, in the club competition as well. A huge complaint, almost the biggest single one. How long does it take to play club football in your county, in each county?
Let me just ask you that about no current player being on your committee, because this has been criticised from
Well, this committee was, we were asked to form a committee that would not have any automatic choices from anybody, right? I mean, the normal way of picking a presidential committee for any big operation is The chairman is usually a very famous person, like a former president or something like that. There's 4 or 5 famous managers, 4 or 5 famous players, and the word famous runs through it all. They're all national known figures, right? Liam O'Neill wanted a group of people who would represent the rank and file people of football around the country, players, spectators and everybody else, underage, all ages. And that's why we haven't. We will speak, we have already met the GPA, we'll be speaking to several players. When we go around the country, every meeting around the country will have several players on it. We will individually speak to a whole lot of players and managers, and everybody that has a voice in the GA will be spoken to face to face.
So players will have a role,
of course
and indeed focus groups as well.
We all understand how crucial players are. Yeah.
Well, debates are going to go on for a long time all around the country, and if you want to have your say directly with the FRC, all you have to do is email frc@ga.ie with your ideas, or go to the website www.frc.ie, where you can fill in a survey, or you can write to them directly at FRC Croke Park, Dublin 3. Well, there won't be any rule changes before this weekend, when Cork and Donegal meet in a Moriarty faced an equally serious matchup.
Right, Paddy, you feeling lucky? Yeah. 3 questions. First question here, round 1. How much did you score in last year's championship?
1-5.
1-5? Yeah, right. 1-0.
Mark, round 1.
Right, go for it.
Your first question, 1-0 to me. What did you score in this year's championship so far?
5 points, I think.
Correct.
Yes.
In 5 games. You call yourself a forward?
You do them right. Hey, you're not coming down there at all. How many All-Ireland under-21 football titles have Donegal won?
1, 1982.
2, 1982 and 1987. Hard luck, big man.
Yeah.
Good lad.
Your dad was centre forward on the Donegal team that won the 1992 All-Ireland final. Who was centre half back on that team?
Martin Rambo Gavigan.
Correct.
2-1, boy.
2-1.
Good lad. Right, Paddy, you have to get this one to stay in the game. It's 2-1 here to me. Who has more Twitter followers? Championship Matters, you or Paddy Bradley?
We'll have to go with Paddy Bradley.
Yeah, Paddy Bradley's right. 2-2. 1, 2.
2-2. If you get this one right, I'll have the forfeit and carry around here in my back. Who has more Twitter followers? Paul Galvin, you, or Marty Morrissey?
That's not me anyway, but I think I'll go with Paul Galvin.
Correct. Yeah! That was too easy. That was too easy, man.
So, Paddy, you lost 3-2. Forfeit time. Turn around. Good lad. Right, what? Right, Paddy, come on. Come on. All the way to Donegal. All the way to Donegal. Good man.
And indeed, the lads, I believe, are heading back to the Bundoran, so if you see them, give them a shout. I cannot believe that Paul Galvin has more followers on Twitter than me. Lads, you're going to have to start tweeting to me. Anyway, Marc O'Shea, you faced Donegal recently. How difficult is it to play against Donegal?
Very difficult, Marty. They pack the defence and they keep massive space then on the other side. So you find yourself faced with maybe one-on-one with a forward on the other side, and then when they're attacking, they attack straight away, and they kick the ball straight in. So you're faced with one-on-one inside, and it's very hard to you don't know, should you hold 3 or 4 back, or should you I think the big thing is trying to get your good kickers on the ball. Long distance kicking is also very important. I suppose we were unlucky against Donegal in the sense that Brian Sheehan, our free taker, he got injured halfway through, and it was a big loss to us. And we were actually coming back there in the end, and possibly could have got a draw. But look, good luck to Donegal, and they'll definitely put it up to Cork in the semi.
Well, since we came on air, the Cork team has been announced, and there's at least one change. Tony Lean, you have it.
Well, there's one change. The named team, Marty, Conor Coonan has a habit of not agreeing with the named team when it actually comes to 3:30 on a Sunday. But Paddy Kelly is in for Kieran Sheehan, and I do expect Paddy Kelly will start. And interesting, since that team was announced, I was actually just thinking, I wouldn't be surprised. Conor Coonan thinks an awful lot about the game, and we saw Marc McGee there, and the damage he can do around the field. Paddy Kelly would actually be ideal for actually picking up someone like Marc McGee in whatever area of the field. You know, I remember I was at a county championship game last year at ground level at the side of the pitch where, you know, where you can really see the physique. Paddy Kelly is a powerful athlete and will stay, if they wanted to do that, with Marc McGee every step of the way. You know, and you could actually find something like that they would actually have a situation where it would suit Cork to have Paddy Kelly on Marc McGee. But even the fact that I'm discussing that shows, you know, we're talking about football, it shows the way everything, you know, is changed. I must admit, I do feel that Cork have the tools. I think they have the arsenal. I think they have the backup off the bench. You know, possibly Mark, you know, and I'm talking against my own county here, probably even they have a deeper bench than Kerry have at the moment, certainly in attack.
Eugene, you wrote a really good piece in the Independent during the week about this as being a clash of styles between Cork and Donegal. Are you anticipating, for instance, a change of tactics, perhaps, in the semi-final?
Well, you know, we often use that cliche, this will be a clash of styles, but it doesn't often turn out that way. But it can't be any other way this time, because Donegal only played the one way, unless Jim McGuinness has kept plan B in his hip pocket all year, like, you know, which is unlikely. So he'll play the same way. And why wouldn't he? Because it's very successful. Most successful Donegal team has ever been. So that's the way he will play. Now, there's a key factor for how Donegal play. Are they behind or in front in the first half? That's crucial. If there were 5 points behind after 20 minutes, then Donegal have a major reassessment to do.
Yes.
And I mean, that's the critical factor. But they're so secure in themselves that they'll thwart the opposition from day one, from the start the ball is thrown in, that things will go their way, and they have so far. Now, of course, they were fortunate with the goal against Donegal. Had that goal not gone in, Kerry might be 3 points up with 20 minutes gone. And then the game has to be reassessed very quickly by Donegal. If that happens with Cork, I think Cork will definitely win, because Cork have more scoring power, there's no doubt about that. It's interesting that Paddy Kelly is being put on for this team, because when Cork were in trouble against Kildare, there's the war for 15 minutes before half-time, I think it was 6 points in a row. The subs came in were Paddy Kelly and Pierce O'Neill, and immediately the game was transformed. I consider Paddy Kelly one of the top 5 footballers in Ireland by a mile. He's a fantastic athlete and a fantastic footballer, and I wouldn't be surprised if what Tony says there is up. I mean, unless Conor Coonan is not a genius, and I expect he is. He has won All Ireland, and we all have to say that all managers who win All Irelands are geniuses.
Oh, absolutely. Yes,
anyway,
yes. 1982 comes to mind.
I'm simply saying I cannot understand up to now why some manager has not put a man on Marc McGee who will attempt to play him out of the game. I mean, for one day, one man can be marked. The greatest players in the history of football, for one day they've been marked. Doesn't mean that they're any less great than their whole career is, but there's always a day when they can be stopped. If he's stopped, then I don't know what the plan B will be for Donegal.
Well, I suppose when we played Donegal in the quarter final, Martin McGee, we thought, you know, he'd play in the half back line, but you know what we found was he was actually gone back to the full back line. You know, and you know, then are you better off leaving a fella out the field or go all the way into the full back line after him? So these are things managers have to decide what to do. On the other side, I think Cork will be. They won't fear Donegal at all. I think they'll actually fancy their chances. If you look at the quarter final against Kildare, they had Paddy Kelly, Pierce O'Neill, and Daniel Goulding on the bench. Now that's a serious bench and great fellas to come in there. So.
That was a huge day, Mark. The victory against Kildare, Marty, was a huge day. I know an individual who watched Conor Coonan coming down from the Hogan stand after that game, and he literally bounced across the pitch because he knew this was a difficult one. As Mark said earlier, they'd gone there 4 or 5 weeks without a game. He didn't know what they were going to get out. Yes, they had a difficult period, as Eugene said, but they drove on. The guys they brought on off the bench, and so they now are perfectly set up for a semi-final. Their injuries have cleared up. You remember this time last year, they had guys with cruces, they had so many guys unavailable. He has a full squad to pick from Conor Coonan, and it is quite a squad.
There were similarities between Kildare and Donegal, of course. That's the most important thing for him. That's why he was so happy, because the Donegal are more adept at what Kildare are doing, even though they've been shorter time at it than Kildare. But there are very close similarities, and Cork overcame that. I mean, Cork did a fantastic thing in the second half. They scored 10 points without reply. In all my life in football, I've never seen that.
But Eugene, as we're with you, who are you predicting? In a word, Cork or Donegal?
I'm going for Cork.
Cork.
I'll go for Cork, Marty.
And I got to make it a hat-trick.
So it's going to be Cork in the All-Ireland final?
I really do think Cork. I think it's the Cork-Dublin All-Ireland final for me.
Really? Unanimous choice of championship matters. 2 Kerry men and a Longford man, indeed. Interesting. Of course, you can watch that game on Sunday.
All right, my next next guests are here with the latest single from their album, Never Trust a Happy Song. And on November 17th, their fall tour brings them to the Wiltern right here in Los Angeles. Please welcome Group Love.
I'm itching on a photograph. Yeah, I'm scratching on a thermostat. Yeah, I'm giving up on looking back. Yeah, I'm letting go of what's ahead. Yeah, I'm itching on a photograph. I'm scratching on a thermostat. Yeah, I'm letting go of all that I had. Yeah, I'm itching on a photograph. Feel that rain come down, and you know now. Put that fire out your bed. There's no wonder how you can see now that this naked ground Yeah, I'm waiting on my mom and dad. Yeah, I'm swinging on this branch that'll last. Yeah, I'm going up and falling back. Yeah, I'm itching on a photograph. Yeah, my rain come down and you know now. Put that fire out your bed. That I wonder how you can see now that this naked ground and it's all while you were asleep. Yeah, it's all Yeah, I'm itching on a photograph. Yeah, I'm scratching on a thermostat. Yeah, I'm letting go of all that I had. Yeah, I'm living now and letting that. Yeah, I'm itching on a photograph. Yeah, I'm scratching on a thermostat. Yeah, I'm letting go of what I had. Yeah, I'm living now. Group Love, ladies and gentlemen. That's our show. I want to thank all my guests. Good night, everybody.